to be here right now to stand up and be counted at this moment of truth for our state, for our country, for our democracy.
San Antonio.
And I'm grateful to every single one of you and everyone who made this possible. We started the march today from the parking lot of the AFL-CIO. Our friends in labor have our back, and they're leading this fight for democracy. We thank you. I want to thank the members of law enforcement who are here and especially behind me. I want to thank them for the hard job that they have to do. And I want to thank them because it was men and women just like them who on the 6th of January put their lives on the line for this country and this democracy. And far too many of them lost their lives. And I want to thank the Poor People's Campaign and the more than 40 allied organizations, all of whom contributed to the success of this march, this action, this rally today. And last but not least, I want to thank Annie and Willie Nelson, who are going to be coming up here in a little bit and playing a great set for everybody who came out here today. You know, Texas may have produced the laws that have made this the hardest state in the nation in which to vote, a state that has closed more than 700 polling places, most of them concentrated in low-income and black and brown neighborhoods, making people wait 5, 6, 7 hours in order to vote. It may be Texas, where our voter ID law says you can use your license to carry a firearm to prove who you are at the polling place, but you cannot use your student ID in the University of Texas at Austin to prove who you are at the polling place. It may be Texas that has proposed new voter suppression legislation to make it harder on those who have a disability, to make it harder on young people, the very old, and those who just want to exercise their right to vote. But I'll tell you what, my fellow Texans, this state has produced some extraordinary leaders, some extraordinary power, and some extraordinary energy. 100 years ago, the state legislature right here behind us, in all their wisdom, passed a law called the All-White Primary Bill that denied the right to vote for any person of color in any primary of any importance in the state of Texas. And one of our fellow Texans 100 years ago, Dr. Lawrence Nixon in El Paso, Texas, who founded the first chapter of the NAACP, nonetheless, though he was a black man and the law said that black men could not vote, went to his polling place, walked up to the election judge, showed the receipt for his poll tax, and tried to vote. And that election judge said, "Dr. Nixon, you know I can't let you vote." And Dr. Nixon said, "I know you can't, but I've got to try." And try he did, year after year, election after election, 20 years into that fight in 1944 with another Texan, Lonnie Smith. They struck down that law in a victory in the Supreme Court, Smith versus Allwright. The persistence, the strength, and the courage of this movement is what it's about. So let me close with this. For those who are tempted to despair at this moment, given everything that we're up against, those Republicans who'd rather defend insurrection than support our democracy, these rigged voting laws in Georgia and Florida and a dozen other states that are going to make it harder for so many millions of our fellow Americans to vote. I ask you to think about Dr. Lawrence Nixon. I ask you to think about John Lewis. I ask you to think about every man and every woman who had the courage of their convictions and did what they needed to do at their own moment of truth in this country's history. Are we going to fight for the right to vote? Are we going to give up until we get it? We're going to push through. We're going to push through till we win this. I want to thank each and every single one of you for being here. I want to thank our courageous state legislators who are in Washington, D.C. right now. I want to thank the Democratic senators like Royce West and Boris Miles who came out today. We are the courage this country needs. Let's keep it up. Let's keep it up.